In this video, we're going to show you the best carpal tunnel syndrome treatments. Hey everyone, I'm Sebastian and this is Desiree. We're at Performance Play Sports Care in Costa Mesa, California. Now, the first thing we should probably do is set some parameters of how we're going to use the treatments today. The best thing to do is start with passive movement. In this case, we're going to do passive movement of the wrist. Then we're going to do active movement, and then we're going to actually load the wrist or load the limb. Okay? Doing things with this process in mind is best to keep the progress on what you're getting on a day-to-day basis versus having to go back to the same exercises and stretches all the time. Now, before we start the treatment, Des, can you tell everyone what carpal tunnel actually is?
Yeah, so carpal tunnel is going to be compression of the median nerve on this side of the wrist, and it's going to be due to active, repetitive motion causing compression of the nerve into the hand. A lot of times people will say they've got a lot of numbness and tingling into the fingertips. They might have difficulty grabbing things, or they might just have pain when doing things with their wrists, such as push-ups, typing, holding a cell phone, things of that nature.
So the treatment we're going to do today is specific more for people who are dealing with the wrist pain and some hand pain with push-ups. I know some people tend to feel it into like this webbing region here, and it's not numbness, but sometimes it's just painful.
Yeah.
So aching, stabbing, burning, shooting, tingling into that general region with these fingers is what we're looking at. If you have these fingers, you don't have only carpal tunnel syndrome, you have something else too.
Yeah,
so
great.
we can help you with that if you'd like. So the passive treatment first we're going to do with Des is we're going to do treatment of the tissues that, the musculature which that eventually becomes the tendons that go into the tunnel itself. The thought process is that some of these the muscles and the tendons have been overused and they enlarge a little bit. And so relaxing them a little bit, just like so, is a really nice, easy way to decrease the amount of tension of the tissue as it's going through the tunnel. Okay? So we're doing a pin and stretch method here. Actually, can we see that one just so everyone can see the angle? Okay. So I'm grabbing the tissues here, creating a little bit of tension into the forearm, and then normally I would probably be like this on people, but just for camera angle, I'm going to use my other hand. So Des, does that feel good?
So good. It hurts so good.
So good. A lot of times this does hurt, but if you have a duplication of symptoms into the hand when we're doing this, we need maybe do a different strategy. So normally we'll work this all the way up into the inside part of the elbow, but we'll also go down into this region where it's still muscles, and when you get into this region, it's more tendinous. What you can do when you get to here is we can do something like a bracelet. Okay, this opens the carpal tunnel to make it so it puckers itself, so the nerve has room to breathe. In this case, I'm just going to hold her in this position and do nothing else, and we're just going to talk.
We're just going to hang out.
How was your weekend?
It's great to meet you.
Good to meet you. You should just greet everybody this way.
Yes, this way.
Okay. So the bracelet one, although it seems like very simple, this one's a very nice one. A lot of times people's symptoms will reduce automatically if once you're in the position for about 30 seconds, and sometimes getting into the push-up is a little bit more doable. Okay. So that's the tissue work we might do first. What do you want to do for actively getting the range back? So
to actively get the range back, we want to first induce the range into the joint. So Seb's going to come down into this kind of quadruped-like position. If you want to scoot forward a little bit, you can, and let's rotate just a little bit so they can see your hands.
Okay.
So what we're going to do here is notice this is typically the motion that will cause some discomfort for people. So him being in the quadruped position is already going to take some of the load off of it. Now what we're going to do here is he's going to create a little space for my hand underneath, but he's going to pin the first bone of his first finger down into the ground and grip the carpet. Can you grip the carpet for me? Yeah. So we're going to grip it, and then we're going to rip it by turning the hands outward just a little bit without losing contact of the carpet.
So I notice what a lot of people do in this is they start going like this.
Yeah, so we don't want that. We want to make sure that the fingertips are still relatively forward. It's the concept of creating tension through the hands that's going to create more stability for them.
Great. Yeah, that's hard. I feel like my lats are actually working.
Yeah, you can almost see it too. If you go ahead and do that again, you can see them kind of turn on. It's very subtle, but that is happening at the joint. And now how does this motion feel at the wrist?
It feels fine. It feels actually hard in the hand, not painful, but hard. and it feels hard in actually a lot of the shoulder and the arm. I feel like I'm kind of being challenged here.
Yeah, a little bit. So this is a great way to start inducing the motion. Now from here, if wrist flexion was the issue, or dorsiflexion, he could go ahead and shift his weight forward a little bit, and that's one way to progress this exercise for you, so you can get eventually into the push-up position fully.
Yeah, although it probably looks easy on camera, this is probably about a 6 out of 7 out of 10. And I actually feel a lot of stretch in this side here.
Yeah.
One way to look at this as well is that we have arches of the foot. We also have arches of the hand too. And so if you consider like the tests that actually create pain for people with carpal tunnel, it's called Phalen's test and reverse Phalen's. So a lot of times like bend of the wrist is actually very painful for them.
Yeah.
And so a push-up makes complete sense why things bother them. But if you create a little bit of support in the arch of the hand, it actually makes it so it puckers the tunnel a little bit too.
Yep.
Okay. Now we can progress this into a challenging exercise, right?
Yeah.
A loaded one.
Absolutely.
Which we picked a high bear.
We did. So
Okay.
high bear is going to be the similar position to where he started with before. Yep, that works.
This way?
Yep. So he's going to grip it and rip it down into the ground. And he's going to slowly just pick up his body weight. Okay, he's going a little ambitious here, but that's all right. So you start off slow, and then once your body feels like it can tolerate it, you can work on bringing the hips up higher. Again, inducing a little bit more pressure into this wrist.
Yeah. Also, too, like you mentioned earlier, like here versus here, I guess we can make it so they're out here a little bit more, right?
Absolutely.
That's a good starting point. Now, let's go over some common faults that people make when they actually do this.
So you'll see here, Seb is being a little dramatic, but he's losing the tension in the hand, or he's trying to offload the tension into the pinky side of the hand instead. Again, that's going to create more compression on the outside aspect, so instead of it being first 3 fingers, now it might move to the ring and the pinky finger. So losing contact and that tension is probably the first thing we see.
Yeah, and it's actually harder as you get higher too. So right now, this was the precursor step, the grip it and rip it, like you mentioned earlier, right? And now we'd make it into a harder exercise, which this is, I can feel my left one popping up a little bit, but as it starts to go higher, now I'm feeling this guy start to pop up.
Yep, so go ahead and crush down into the ground. I like to say like there's $100 bills under each one of these digits, and I'm not going to steal them from underneath you.
Yeah, it's hard to do. So I would imagine something like probably doing like they put their legs in a box, they do like a modified, like whoop whoop.
Like a pike push-up?
Yeah, like a pike push-up. Like a pike push-up would be kind of hard to do with this application. So maybe doing like an actual push-up is probably another progression of this thing too. Okay. Anything else you want to add before we close on them?
No, I think that's all good.
Good. So if you guys are looking for help with your carpal tunnel syndrome and you're looking for exercises that actually are challenging and treatments that actually work, these are some of the ones that tend to work for people. But you got to consider too that we have to make sure that make sure that the nerve has a chance. You have to open the tunnel where the area is compressed, and that does not require surgery or medication typically, but you have to actually decrease the symptoms before you load the region. None of these should hurt. And a lot of times when people have this problem for a very long period of time, they tend to not use their hand. And their hand starts to weaken, even in the absence of having the symptom whatsoever. So we need to make sure we load your hand with grip exercises, and we have other videos on grip exercises too on our channel. So if you guys are looking for direct help about what to do, we have virtuals and in-person services. All of our contact is below. And subscribe to the channel for all those other videos. We'll see you next time.